So, welcome to News Talk, our new bi-weekly, so that people that can't make it during the later time for tea and scones, being a night person, it works well for me. And then, of course, Paul's in the UK, so it's early in the morning for him. But I realized that two things: the news is going so fast and things are changing so fast that we needed a another bi-weekly in between tea and scones. So this will also be slightly different format since Sergio's here with me at BFS, and we'll do a lot of more of exposés instead of short snippet items. So without further delay, welcome to News Talk, everyone. Sergio, would you open us in prayer, please?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to gather together in this beautiful space for this first edition of News Talk. We ask for a special blessing for Jean and for myself, Sergio, and that you would guide us with your Holy Spirit throughout as we share our news items. Please also bless the Bless for Service support team behind us, as well as all of the technical and electronic services that we all need to function perfectly so that we can all continue our learning journey and enjoy and benefit from our time together. Heavenly Father, please bless and protect all of us gathered here today, as well as all of those listening in the future. Keep us safe together with our families, our children, our loved ones, and our pets. We pray for your blessing and healing for all who are sick or suffering in these exciting but often difficult times. We ask all of this in the name of your precious, holy, only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, Tetelestai.
Thank you, Sergio. Beautiful. And Ellis, would you lead us off with the invocation, please?
Hello, everyone, and welcome. All beings, life forms, thought forms, entities, assemblages, technologies, beingnesses, awarenesses, and all else that exists that do not have our highest interest and are the highest interest of all life everywhere and are not in the highest service to the one true and only living God of all creation, I am, in thought, form, mind, action, deed, word, and in all ways. And all artificial intelligences and artificial life forms and the technologies they use, smart dust, nanodust, black goo, graphenes, algorithms, operating systems, thought forms, and all other artificial life, and all else that is not created by the one true living God I am, we demand all to leave our minds, spirits, bodies, souls, and all that we are on all dimensions, densities, levels, and locations now and forever and never return. All permission to create or maintain attachments, influence from within or without in any way, to cohabitate or possess in part or in whole, to affect or defect in any way, to feed off our energies, our minds, spirits, bodies, or souls, or anything that we are on any dimension, density, level, or location, or alter or change our thoughts, feelings, our mental, physical, emotional, or genetic structure in any way, or create any pain, discomfort, or put us into disharmony with the only God of all creation, I am, is permanently and forever removed. All contracts, obligations, and agreements we have made that are not in our highest interest and or not in the highest interest of all life everywhere, and not in the highest service to the one true living God of all creation, I am, we now declare null and void. All emptiness, holes, vacancies, rips, tears, or injuries from the invocation, contract negation, and removal of artificial intelligences are now to be filled with the divine light of the Holy Spirit, the word of the one true living God I am, and the healing and compassion of his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. All protections and all of this invocation are asked for in the name and authority of the one true living God of all compassion, love, light, and creation, I am, and his holy Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. As it is said, now it is done and is sealed now and for all time. Tetelestai.
Thank you so much. And for those that know tetelestai is the Greek pronunciation in ancient Greek. A lot of people speak it as an English speaker, tetelestai or tetelestai. There's different ways. We try to do it as close to the Greek as we can. And having somebody in the team that speaks Greek to clarify what that is helps a lot. So this is the very first. It is the news talk, and we're putting it at a more convenient time, and it will be a series of exposés tonight on different topics. thank you for being here, deep divers. And we've already got a few people in the Zoom here with us. So thank you. And without further delay, I'll over to you, Sergio. Let's have some news talk.
Well, thank you, Gene. Thank you, everybody, for attending. And thank you especially for the opportunity to do this with you, Gene. It's an honor for me and a pleasure. So we're going to focus mainly tonight on the topic of the declining population in China. If one were to believe the mainstream media and all the government of China and all the official statistics, we're supposed to believe that the population is 1.4 billion. And so we're going to examine that and see that, in fact, it is much, much less than that.
Yes, and it's been announced that India is the largest population, and they're just about that number. So how can they be the largest with the same number? And it's because what we're going to reveal tonight.
So this first video is from China Deep Dive on YouTube, and the title is "How Much Has China's Population Decreased? Shocking, it explains many questions."
This is the current situation of physical stores in Beijing. Too few people.
这人太少了。
Beijing has lost at least 1 million people. There is no one in the subway, the roads are not congested, and the condos cannot be rented out even at $270. There are only over 10 people in the entire subway. The official Chinese Communist Party claims that China has a population of 1.4 billion. But a large number of online videos show that not only are the cities and the mainland deserted, but the countryside is also empty. More and more people are questioning China's population data. Let's talk today about where the 1.4 billion people have gone.
This is available at China Deep Dive. And go look at the streets. Look down on those streets, and even from way up, there's hardly any people there.
According to official data from the authorities, China's population has only declined slightly, but the public feels far from that. Videos shot by netizens from all over the country show that once bustling shopping malls and streets in many places have become deserted, even in first-tier cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. This is the current situation in the capital of Beijing. There is a three-way intersection in front of me. I used to do business here. This is the only way for people in this neighborhood to go to work. Look, it's past 5 o'clock and it's time to get off work. There's no one here. This is the only way to go. There are only so few people when going to and getting off work. There used to be people crowded and cars packed together, but now there is no one at all.
You can see these streets and that parking lot. There's hardly any cars in there. It's just, wow. The devastation that was done because of we know what that went in people's arms and how they did to their people. And we also have other platforms here that show Thailand, and I've seen it in Japan too.
This street used to be very prosperous, but now there are several shops for rent. This place is a good location in Beijing, and it was difficult to have the opportunity to rent a shop here before. Now you can see that they are all empty and looking for rent. Some of them have not been rented out since last year. You can see that they are all empty and looking for rent.
So we can see that, to have those where it was difficult to get a shop front before, now they're looking for rent and there's nobody in the shop front.
I rarely meet friends in this kind of hotel lobby in Beijing. The chairs are all dirty. What does it feel like? I feel that the high-end service industry in Beijing in the last 2 years is worse than 10 years ago. The entire hotel lobby used to be filled with people in suits talking about business, but now it feels a lot less, and I don't know if it's just because of the hotel I chose.
So let me explain something. Chinese is a complicated language. They phrase things because of the power of the Chinese People's Communist Party, the CPC. They do not speak openly against the government. So when she's saying, or against anything in the field of authority, which would mean the people that own the hotel. So she's saying The seats are dirty. In other words, there's not enough staff to keep the area clean. And it was a business hotel where people were talking all the time. Now there's hardly anybody there. And she's not blaming the staff or the hotel. She's saying, maybe I picked the wrong hotel. So they always put the charge of what's going on themselves. Maybe it's something I don't understand, so that they don't get attacked by authority. This is ingrained in Chinese civilization and peoples from before the communist regime. It's part of the Taoist way of speaking, like from the time of Confucius, that you respect authority. So go ahead, Sergio.
I may not have taken the subway for a long time, so I was shocked today. The Shi-Erqi transfer station is no longer crowded with people, and there are even seats available in the carriages. This is the entrance to Shijimen, and there is no one. In this depressed era, I wish everyone well.
我在北京国贸的一座大厦里面开会。
I am in a meeting in a building in Beijing World Trade Center. I took the elevator to the 31st floor. There was no one on the entire floor. It's scary to be alone in here. Which elevator should I take to go to the first floor? Why do they all go up? Look, there's no one here. I have gone down to the first floor now. There was no one on the first floor either. This is the first floor lobby. Today is Saturday and there is no one here. It's like a deserted city, very desolate. This is the lobby. There is really no one there.
So again, saying, the Chinese language, saying all the elevators go up. In other words, all waiting to go up, and he wants to go down. They're all there. He's trying to explain, because it doesn't always cross over to English. When do you go to a hotel and every elevator's on one floor? Something's odd about that.
Big cities like Beijing are very deserted, and there seem to be few people in the countryside as well.
今天是25年的
Today is the 8th day of the first lunar month of the 25th year. Our entire village is so quiet that only the sound of birds can be heard. This is our village's basketball court and cultural center. Logically speaking, in previous years, everyone liked to gather here to hold activities during the Chinese New Year. But this year, there is almost no one holding any activities here. Let me show you other places in our village. It's very quiet. I feel very quiet. I feel like the whole village belongs to me. It's empty. If only there were the same amount of empty houses in the city, it would be much easier for people to afford to rent one. Why is it so quiet? There is no one in sight. The doors are all closed and it's deserted everywhere in broad daylight. After walking around the whole village, I found it very quiet. It no longer has the bustle of the past or the liveliness of our childhood. There are basically no youth in the entire village, and occasionally one or two elderly people and children can be seen.
So that's the first video.
And like V. Johnson is putting in the chat, she was in Beijing in September of 2019, and it was packed all the time. And now we see in these videos, there's hardly anybody there. It's alarming, to say the least. Go ahead.
So this next one is from China Observer on YouTube, and it's titled Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangdong resemble ghost cities, with millions of beggars disappearing.
You all say you want to come to Shanghai to start your careers. Let me show you what Shanghai looks like now. Look at this massive shopping mall. Such a huge space, and there's no one here. There are so many stores open, but no customers. What's going on? This huge mall, and I'm the only one here. There's a street full of food stalls. Looks like a big setup, but not a single person in sight. Just look at this place. So big, yet completely empty. Can you believe this is Shanghai, one of China's major cities? It feels like an empty city. Most of the shops here are closed. It used to be nearly impossible to find a storefront, but now they're all shut down. The biggest mystery of 2025 is, where have all the people gone? Where are the customers? Where did China's 1.4 billion people go? I just went to a street food stall, and there were no customers. The vendors outnumber the people. The stall owner told me there haven't been many people lately, because everyone's gone home to buy groceries and cook. But when I went to the market in the evening, the owner there told me the same thing. There weren't any shoppers. No one knows where everyone has gone. So where exactly are all the people? This can be considered the voice of many people in China. Starting in 2025, many have noticed that there are fewer people on the streets. In fact, in some bustling cities, not a single person can be seen, which may feel quite strange.
The holiday's already over. Where have all the people in Beijing gone? I don't know if you've noticed, but there are no people on the streets in Beijing. There's nobody in malls, nobody on the streets, nobody anywhere. I feel like there are fewer and fewer people in Beijing, but I just don't know where they've all gone.
So these people know, but they have to ask it as a question. They can't say it was due to something slammed into somebody's arm or what happened during 2019 or any of that. She has to ask it as a question. Where have they all gone? They were, during the holiday season, they went out of the big cities to be with their families, is how it's normally is. And now the holiday season's done. And this street, this huge street, how many, you can count them on your fingers? The number of people you see, that was so packed before you couldn't even count the people. Go ahead, Sergio. Thank you. This is excellent.
It's March 7th, 9:30 a.m. right now. I'm standing on Wangfujing pedestrian street in Beijing. As you can see, there are very few people on the street. Very, very few. As we walk north, the number of people will get even smaller, especially around the department store area, which is wider than the main streets in some other cities. So when it's this empty, it really feels open and deserted. Apart from busy streets in major cities, train stations have also become unusually quiet.
Let's take a look at this. This is Shanghai Hongqiao Railway Station. When I came here 3 years ago, it was packed with people. Let me show you what Shanghai Railway Station looks like now.
In the past, even on weekdays, the Shanghai Hongqiao Railway Station was packed with people. Most people believe that the reason for the emptiness in large cities is closely tied to China's economic slowdown. Many workers are unable to make a living, and more people are realizing that, despite earning more in big cities, the cost of living is higher. To survive these difficult economic times, many have chosen to return to their hometowns and smaller cities, opting for a simpler lifestyle. However, this explanation seems to be losing credibility. People living in small cities have also posted videos saying that their cities are just as empty.
So in that, it's important to understand the only people that would be leaving is Vietnamese and Koreans and North Koreans that no longer can find work. And this is all before the sanctions hit. So I want to clarify that what you're seeing is before the sanctions by Trump now have impacted the economic situation in China with Guangdong and Beijing and the big port cities with their container ships connected to the pier with huge amounts of containers sitting on the ship and even more containers sitting on the piers. It's vast. So yeah, that's occurred, but this is before that. And so Elon Musk hacked into their database. He's able to do that. He knows that's his expertise. And in the Chinese People's Party, you have to register. Every person, man, woman, child, baby, are registered. And he hacked in and he saw that to the number, exact number, but it was 797 million and some 100,000 and down to the last individual. And it was not up to even above 800 million people anymore. And I'm sure as we will continue to see that it's still lower than that. Go ahead, Sergio.
Does China really still have 1.4 billion people? I'm currently in Taiyuan. Today, I walked out of a store and down the whole street, and I suddenly realized that these shops are either empty or they are up for transfer. The owners are willing to sell for a low price just to get some money, and Taiyuan is a provincial capital city. I noticed there are really fewer people in Taiyuan this year. Unlike before, where you could always see people at this intersection, I've noticed something else today. I video called my mum in the afternoon, and she told me that my aunt's place in our county is an apartment building, and in the old days, every 2 days or so, 3 to 5 people would come by asking if there were any rooms for rent. But this year, not a single person came to ask in the past 10 to 15 days. So I'm really curious, if there are no people in the county or in the provincial capital, where have all the people gone?
And you had a lot of Thai workers in China. I've been to that place in China. They're showing in this video in 2018. Just before 2019, I went there and I toured that area and I had a hotel that I was staying at in there, and the streets are empty beyond belief. Those streets weren't empty when I was there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. That It's the capital city is packed, and all the big major cities like that in Thailand, they're so packed you can't even hardly move until it's like, just before people get up to go to work and the people that do the nightlife are gone to bed. There's a little bit of window there, but it's never even that empty is what she's showing there. Go ahead. This is really well done, Sergio. Thank you. Continue.
In Shanning, with a population of over 4 million, there's no one at the tourist attractions, no one on the streets, no one in the shops, no one in the malls, and no one in the supermarkets. Even the factories are empty. Where have all the people gone? I remember when China had a population of 1.2 billion. There were people everywhere. The streets were packed. Everywhere you went, it's all packed. Now, with a population of 1.4 billion, you can't see anyone anywhere. What's going on? I've been in Wuhan these couple of years, and it feels like there are fewer and fewer people. Before, at the Optics Valley roundabout in Wuhan, you couldn't even get on a bus. During the Lunar New Year travel rush, you had to climb through the train windows, but now you don't even need to lift your feet to get on a bus. Where has everyone gone? People say they don't have money, but fewer and fewer are going to the banks for loans. An online user commented and said, if there are no people in the cities, they must have gone back to the countryside to lie flat. But the truth is, there are no people in the countryside either. When you go into the countryside, you can hardly find anyone. There are more and more empty houses in the rural areas.
Let me show you what the population situation is like in the countryside now. There's no one in this house. The second house also has no one. It's been abandoned for a long time. There's no one in this house, and there's no one in that one either. Looking at the roof of this house, it seems to have been abandoned for at least 20 years. The yard is overgrown with weeds. I've been home for almost a month now, and everywhere I look in the countryside, it's all just weeds. It's really quite desolate.
Yes, and people are thinking in the chat here that it's underground. They've gone underground in the sense that they've been buried, yes. In the sense that they're no longer living on Earth. They're not living anywhere in 3D. They've transitioned. So because of what has happened, and this, as we saw, has also taken place in China, in Thailand. It's also I saw a video of this in Japan, and the Japanese have declared a state of emergency, and many of their high-level officials have apologized to the people for what was done to them by forcing and mandating certain things. We all know what I'm talking about. On with you, Sergio.
Yes, and it was very interesting that, people saying, well, maybe they've gone to the country, and they've gone out to the country and there's nobody there either. I've also seen some videos, which we didn't have time to share, but literally ghost cities where they've built these supposed sophisticated modern cities, and there's nobody there. I don't know if that's connected. I guess it must be connected with this Evergrande thing, Gene. That
their original planning with those cities was that we're going to bring all the Chinese people all over the world back to China, and that the 500 million people, as per Georgia Guidestones, would all be Chinese because they do not rebel against authority at all. And they've been enslaved essentially by the Li family and the Black Hand and the Triads forever. So they were the perfect slaves for the deep state. And as we've heard, the Rothschilds and those groups actually created the Chinese Party and all of this, as well as the Bolshevik Revolution. And so this is all coming down, and it's all part of the revelation of all the truths. And they went overboard on reducing their population. Now they had a one-child policy, and it's now, if you had 2 child or 3 previously, you got penalized. Now you actually get a stipend for second and third child to help raise them monthly. And people are protesting, complaining. They don't protest there, but they complain a little bit. And they're saying, could I get some of my money for having my second and third child that I was penalized back? And so this is what we see going on now. And on the comment on the man saying you don't even have to lift your feet off the ground, he means to climb through the windows. I've seen this in many of the countries in Asia. When you go to get on a bus or a train, it's so packed that they go in so fast that you have to be in the front. And even then people are jostling so hard that people are climbing through the windows and everything, trying to get a seat. So That's what he's referring to. It's again the different ways of saying things in the Chinese language. On we go, Sergio. Thank you.
Beihai is a place with a very rich nightlife. In the past, there was constant traffic of people staying up all night. You could hear the roar of cars honking and noise almost all night long. There were also young people eating skewers at barbecue stalls all night long, playing finger-guessing games and yelling. The sound of finger-guessing games was endless. Look, my friend, how deserted the streets are now. There is basically no one here after 10 o'clock in the evening. There are only a few people here during the day, and there are no passing vehicles. It's hard to see delivery guys on the streets. What's going on?
So that one's really alarming. It means the nightlife, which is your younger generations, aren't there anymore. They're gone. So that's the upcoming youth that are going to be your industrial complex and help run your country and do all of these things. And there is no nightlife. They're not there anymore. It's what we've seen in other places, and we're going to have some items on that to explain where they're going. They actually do say a little bit about that. Go ahead, Sergio.
This is the night food area of beautiful Four Seasons. Every stall is full of vegetables, but no one comes to buy them. No customer came, even at the price of around 10 cents per pound. The whole market is empty. There are no people or cars. What happened this year? Where have all the business people gone? Some people may say that the city is deserted because all the migrant workers have gone back to their hometown in the rural areas. However, the current rural areas are in a strange situation too. Look at how deserted the countryside is. There are more than a dozen households in my area, but only 4 people are at home now, either the elderly or the kids. To put it bluntly, even if someone dies of an emergency at home, no one will know about it or come to bury the body. A crane is needed to lift the coffin, and an excavator is needed to dig a hole because there is no manpower here. Look at the past. Before the year 2000, although people were poor at the time, they didn't want to go to work. Everyone stayed in their hometown. The village was full of people. If one family had problems, many families would come to help. Were people at that time more approachable and more humane? Look at what has become of the countryside now. It has become an empty village. Not only is there no one in our restaurant, but there is no one on the street, and even in the vegetable market. In the morning, I go to the wholesale market to buy vegetables for the store. It used to be so crowded that you couldn't even walk. But now, 99% of people who come to buy vegetables are grandpas and grandmas.
So this is huge. This means in the smaller towns and out in the country, the lady was saying that people would come to help you bury the people. And now they don't have people helping, so they use an excavator and cranes and different things to put the people in the ground. And even then, there's not enough people to find the people in their homes that are dead. That's what is called population collapse. Like Elon Musk is saying, that's what's coming for many countries. It's already come here in China. It's population collapse when you don't have enough people to take care of the dead or even find them in their homes anymore. Thank you, Sergio. Continue.
Yeah, sorry, did I say that this one is also from China Deep Dive on YouTube?
Yes, thank you.
Xianing City has a population of more than 4 million. There was no one in the scenic area, no one on the streets, no one in the shops, no one in the shopping malls, no one in the supermarkets, and even no one in the factories. We can't see anyone in the city or in the countryside. Where have the people gone? I remember when the population was 1.2 billion, it was crowded everywhere and people felt overcrowded everywhere. Now that the population is 1.4 billion, we can hardly see people anywhere.
So now we're going to have a look at the effects of the jabs, the COVID, in this last section on this.
In response, one netizen said, "I have a question. Is it that not so many people are alive at all? Currently, many people go to the hospital. Although the CCP has tried hard to conceal the ongoing pandemic in China in recent years, hospitals in many parts of this country are often overcrowded. Many mainland Chinese told overseas Chinese media that many persons they know had repeated symptoms of colds and fevers. But because the Beijing authorities concealed the pandemic, some people thought they only had a common cold." Then, unexpectedly, the illnesses developed seriously to such an extent as white lung and pneumonia, and they died. Among those who died, there were not only frail and sick elderly, but also many children, and even many young and middle-aged people in their 30s and 40s who died suddenly. Mr. Huang, a villager in Xingtai City, Hebei Province, disclosed to overseas Chinese media that from last winter until now, many people have had repeated fevers and coughs, which are very serious. Many young people have died suddenly. People in their 40s have died suddenly more often. Funeral homes can no longer burn all the bodies, so cremation is no longer mandatory and burial in the ground is allowed. He said, "We keep hearing about young and middle-aged people dying without signs in the surrounding villages."
You see what they're saying is the crematoriums don't have the staff. This is what he's saying. And so they've made it legal to put people in the ground and to have nobody in the shops or the factories or anywhere. Wow. Go ahead, Sergio.
Mr. Li, a villager in Zhoukou, Henan Province, said, "Many people caught colds, had runny noses and fevers, one after another. The hospitals are overwhelmed and people die in droves from pneumonia, heart attacks, and cerebral infractions in their 30s and 40s. Many died suddenly, inexplicably, and they were gone. They couldn't afford cremation, so they were buried secretly. People were dying every day, all young people." What the funeral industry sees is even more telling. In the past 1 or 2 years, I have seen more and more people born in the 1980s and 1990s pass away. In fact, I was also looking at the data today. I wondered why so many people born in the 80s and 90s passed away. People born in the 80s and 90s should not be the majority of those who died. However, as I looked at the data, I found that apart from the normal deaths of the elderly, the most common group is people born in the 80s and 90s suffering from chronic diseases, and those who died suddenly from myocardial infarction.
So what we're seeing is there's a channel here on Rumble that talks about this. You probably know what I'm referring to, but it's vaccine-induced immune deficiency syndrome. And we know from various work that there's gene sequences that come from AIDS in the jab. And so it's causing people to get colds and flus and die from them. And it's just increasing at an exponential rate. Go ahead, Sergio. Thank you.
Although the Chinese Communist Party officials emphasize that the influenza virus now accounts for 99% of the outbreak, the public generally suspects that the party has once again concealed the epidemic and that it's not influenza A but a new coronavirus outbreak. Many Chinese people also have doubts about the cause of death of their relatives and friends who suddenly passed away. A Beijing dance teacher who goes by the pseudonym Zhang Ling said, "People around me, some of my students, they all had colds. This cold was particularly severe. The diseases this winter are very strange. They say it's influenza A, chlamydia, and human lung disease, but they don't say it's COVID-19. But everyone still says it's COVID-19 in private, only that it's not written in the hospital's report. I have a relative, a very strong young man, about 30 years old, who just caught a cold and died suddenly." In January and February 2025, many celebrities in the entertainment industry died, including 50-year-old Chinese mainland actor Gao Liang, 41-year-old Golden Melody King Ka Li-fang, 27-year-old Chinese mainland actor Liang Yucheng, 36-year-old Chinese crosstalk actor Xu Chaocheng, and 38-year-old Chinese internet celebrity Xiaomi.
If you go on Rumble to the People's Voice, you could see about the vaccine-induced, what I was mentioning before. They have lots of good items on there and a really good platform on Rumble to follow. Go ahead, continue.
Yes, so this lady who is on Lay's, L-E-I, Lay's Real Talk on YouTube, she's done quite a study into the population of China. And we're not going to go into much detail here, but let's just listen to this first.
Well, I've discussed China's population in several programs, and Consistent said that it's absolutely not the official 1.4 billion, and it's no more than 100 million. And also, I don't want to come across as sensational by making unsubstantiated claims. That said, a number of viewers have written to me, sharing their thoughts and information on the matter. I decided to finally confront the question head on. China's real population is not anywhere near 800 million either. It's somewhere between 300 and 400 million. Yes, you heard that right. China's actual population may be only a fraction of the official 1.4 billion.
So she got some data from, I think, Russian sources that put the population of China before COVID at about 800 million. And what she's going to say here is that the spiritual leader of the Falun Gong movement, he said that the total loss due to COVID was 400 million plus another 100 million who would die. So he's got it down at 300 million.
Now, this 500 million matches with what the founder of the spiritual practice, Falun Gong, who said in early 2023 that 400 million Chinese had died in the pandemic, and another 100 million would die until the end of the pandemic. So what is my estimation? My estimate of Chinese population right now is somewhere between 300 million and 400 million. 400 million is on the conservative side, and 300 million is an aggressive estimate. It's based on China having 800 million people before the pandemic and having lost between 400 to 500 million people so far.
So there you go.
Yeah. And remember, the US before 2019 had 320 to 350 million, somewhere in there. The numbers, again, the deep state's not giving you the correct numbers. It's hard to know. We had so many illegals. Who knows what we had in here? Now that that's gone, we have a lot of emptiness, and it's a good excuse they use that it's the illegals that are gone, why it's so empty here in the US. But this vaccine-induced situation is continuing even here. China, they mandated everything for everyone. Here, not everybody, but we still have the same situation. I have a person that used to be with us in the team, and they were so busy during this time they left because their family has been morticians since the beginning of the United States. And she told me that for the very first time they were ordering children coffins in bulk, which they have never done since the beginning of the US, all the way up until this hit the US coming from China. So go ahead and continue. Thank you, Sergio. This was really well done.
So thank you, Gene. So that's the end of the expose on China. This is a very, very powerful situation. It's from Fox 13 Tampa Bay on YouTube.
This expose is really important. And the spin-off of this I'll go into in a little bit here of what they're saying here. Go ahead. Thank you, Sergio.
So this is arrests in international child pornography case announced in Florida. Full news conference.
We do have a big announcement this morning that we are busting an international child pornography ring. We will be bringing charges against 8 individuals this morning, 7 of whom are Florida residents. As a dad of 3 little ones, it's tough to talk about some of this stuff, but what these guys were doing was truly heinous. There's not a word in the English dictionary that can describe the gross content that was on the videos. Our investigators have been able to get their hands on over 1 million videos showing sexual abuse on minors. Many of these individuals were babies that are being sold around the world. The 2023 National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reports over 36 million instances of suspected child sexual exploitation and over 100 million files related to child sex abuse material. And that's only what's getting reported. This continues to be a problem in our country, in our state. Protecting our kids is not an easy task to begin with, and today, with the access to the internet and social media, it allows these sick predators to more easily get access to our kids.
Yeah, so this is a really powerful expose, and I guess in a way it's good for us because these things are happening. It's very, very painful for us to know all about all this. But since we got into the, most of us probably got into awakening because of the children. And so we're finding that we're making progress. It's slow and steady, but it's happening. So this is proof of it.
Turn up when the reporters ask questions. It's hard to hear them. It's way low volume, but turn it up really loud so you can hear the questions, because one of the questions is very pivotal. It asks about something called Chrome. Is this due to Chrome? You know what I mean. And so the person that runs this said yes. And the amount of videos the lady in blue goes into, the volume that a person could, this is, as they said, through TikTok, they could get this. The amount for $100 was 1.2 million videos of this. And I mean, if you were watching nothing else, you didn't sleep, you didn't eat, I mean, talk about insane. How in the world can you watch 1.2 million videos? That is an endless supply. Go ahead, Sergio.
And as I've said, my first 5-6 weeks on the job here, that's going to be a major priority for my office. The individuals that are being busted today that purchased this harmful content, many of them found it through TikTok. It was available online. They found access to a portal where they could purchase this dangerous material. TikTok has shown they can very quickly get stuff off their website. If there's unlicensed music or something going around, they've proven with a flip of a switch they can get it off. And it's taken too long for them to get some of this pornographic material and avenues to purchase harder, more gross content.
So to give you an idea, if you had what each one is 60 seconds long, 100,000 minutes. Go ahead, Sergio.
This is the state commissioner for Florida.
I want you to just take a look at that board over here with these folks. And it is just evil. The faces you see there are faces of evil. The general talked about, we can't even talk about what was on those films and what they had, because it is that disturbing. More disturbing than you would see even in your movies. Way more. It's evil. And the sad part about it, there's many more out there, just like these evil people. Many more. And we know it. And through the hard work and dedication of multi-agencies, such as HSI with DHS, our task force agents from multiple agencies across this Tampa Bay area and the rest of the state, FDLE, and our Office of Statewide Prosecution, we're able to get out there and get these evil people out of our society, put them where they belong, behind bars, answer to their crimes.
And so, it goes, he's a father and a husband and a brother and all of these things. And those pictures, they do, and during this video, zoom in on each and every picture, or invite people to go do that. Freeze it when they play this video for yourself and look at these individuals. Some of them look kind of like a normal everyday person, smiling and happy, and there's a pretty young guy in there too, and this is actually connected all the way. They've followed it through to a person that's running this. He had multiple devices that he stole VPNs and all kinds of things. He's in Turkey. They're trying to get him expedited to the United States to stand trial here. That was the kingpin for all of this. Go ahead, Sergio.
Good morning. By way of reintroduction, excuse me, my name is Rita Peters, and I have the pleasure of serving under Attorney General James Othmeyer at the Office of Statewide Prosecution. I specialize in matters involving human trafficking, sex crimes, child exploitation, and I have been doing that for about 26 years. And to say that the images and videos that I observed in this case were the most horrendous is an understatement. In July 2024, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement contacted me to assist in an investigation regarding a sale of images of child exploitation, child sexual abuse material. We learned that for $100, they were able to obtain links that led them to over 1 million videos of children involved in some of the most heinous types of sexual brutality that I have ever seen. Brutality that involved infants, necrophilia, brutal sexual battery, and molestation. These horrific pictures and videos capture real, identifiable children whose names are in the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. These children have been identified series within that directory. They are victims of human trafficking. They're also victims of sexual battery and a plethora of other crimes. And these kids are from the United States.
Realize she's been doing this 26 years and this is the worst she's seen? Wow, that is really a statement about how horrifically evil what they found is.
Yes, so that's our presentation on this item.
And already as a spin-off from this, there's been arrests of other large groups in Georgia and Tennessee. They passed this data from their investigations to all the states, the US, and into Interpol as well, because these rings are connected, as he said at the opening, international. So they have been arrests in Georgia and Tennessee, and they have task force there bringing this down. So thank goodness we have Trump in all of this to go and clean this and to save our children. Thank you. Really well done, Sergio. So let's go into our next item. And on our next item, there's part of this that's pretty gruesome. So if you have young ones, as if that last one wasn't, there are young ones, you might want to take them out of the room for about 15 minutes here. Go ahead, Sergio.
So yeah, this is from Al Jazeera English on YouTube. And it's all to do with the Gaza medics who were killed by Israel.
This is a video recovered from a Palestinian paramedic whose body was discovered in a shallow grave in Rafah, southern Gaza. He's one of 15 bodies found. It's March the 23rd, and a convoy of paramedics from the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, civil defense teams, and a UN employee are responding to a plea for help. Their vehicles are marked. The occupants are wearing reflective clothing, and the vehicle's emergency lights are clearly visible. When the convoy stops, Israeli soldiers open fire for minutes on end. In the paramedic's last moments, he's praying. Eventually, his voice begins to fade. For a week, no one knew what had happened to these medical workers.
I'm just going to check to see if there's any human remains in here.
After eventually getting Israeli approval, the UN and other humanitarian organizations moved into the area and made this discovery.
Some of the rescuers who went to the gravesite to retrieve the bodies testified that they were shot at close range. Some were handcuffs, some were buried alive.
There are no words, really.
And I watched an expose by Jimmy Dores interviewing the Irishman, Mr. Gallo, and he's researched this. And when they say, from the Holocaust, never again to them, never again in the way it was done to them. They're not doing it the same, so they feel it's not the same.
Adding weight to the uncovered video recording is testimony from an eyewitness. He was one of the last people to see his still missing colleague alive.
The last moment I saw him was when the Israelis stripped him of his clothes. He was forced to his knees, blindfolded, and tied up in the same ditch where I was.
Before the video came to light, Israel didn't deny the shooting, but said the vehicles were moving suspiciously towards their soldiers with their lights off, which the video now clearly contradicts. The UN is demanding an independent investigation.
I'm appalled by the recent killings of 15 medical personnel and humanitarian aid workers, which raise further concerns over the commission of war crimes by the Israeli military.
Before the paramedic dies, He whispers this message. Forgive me, Mom. This is the path I chose. I wanted to save lives. Mike Lappel, Al Jazeera.
The people, Zionists, not Jewish people, Zionists believe that they're chosen and that they want to create, as I've said in recent interviews, greater Israel. And this, they have a right to do this, and that the people that stand in their way are to be eliminated. And that's what we see happening. Go ahead and continue. This is Democracy Now!
This is Democracy Now! On YouTube, and I'll display this. As we said, it's quite disturbing, so if you want to look away, please do.
I wanted to get your response, Diana Butu, to what happened overnight. Israel striking a tent housing journalists near Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis. The video is horrifying. The blast sets up this fire, and you see a journalist, Helmi Al-Fakawi, who's sitting in a chair burning alive as other journalists tried to rescue him. Another journalist was seriously wounded in the attack. This was a tent of journalists. Your response?
What Israel's been trying to do is to kill anybody who's continuing to bear witness and to bring to light Israel's crimes. This is why we've now seen that this is 211 journalists that Israel has killed. More journalists have been killed in Gaza than in any other place around the world. This is why they're going after medics. This is why they're going after the United Nations. This is why they're going after individual civilians as well, is that they want to make sure that they continue to carry out this genocide without anybody reporting on it. And the fact that we haven't seen global outrage over this mass killing of journalists and the mass killing of medics and of UN workers and so on just shows the height of dehumanization. It's high time that people wake up and realize that Israel's doing this for a reason, and they continue to get away with it because nobody is stopping them.
So exactly, we all need to, I see in the Deep Dives chat, envision the end of this and the Zionists being held accountable for their actions. And this goes to the, the World Court, to the UN, to all the bodies, to all the countries of the world to stand up against this, say no more, and hold them accountable. Thank you. Go ahead and continue, Sergio.
Yeah, for me, and I think for many, this is the most painful part of this process. And just waiting, knowing that Israel's safe for last, and just praying and that it will come very, very soon.
Absolutely. And, it's a big part of what I woke up to back in 1990. And at that time, it seemed indomitable. And that they had everything sewed up and in their hand and in their control. And they were spread out and infiltrated into every organization on earth. And had all of the Congress and Senate and the U.S. president been selecting both sides of who runs for years. We didn't vote for anybody, but they ran all the horses in the race, and they had all the senators and congressmen blackmailed or bribed or something. And so, and that was true in most countries on earth. So we now see this coming down, and as it comes down, it's going to be like this. We're going to get some very disturbing things. I have never shared some of the horrific things. I did a little bit with Linda Paris. That was by far, as that lady for 26 years in that said, not the worst things I've seen. I just did that to wake people up to the truth of how bad it gets, but it gets way worse than that, just to get people awake. So thank you for putting together these exposés, Sergio. This is excellent. Very well done. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Gene. So this last one that we're going to look at is from Bodikman on YouTube, and it's about a certain Mr. Zelensky.
Yeah, so this is really phenomenal. And we'll comment about this as we go, but it is eye-opening. And if you get your calculators out and add up the money that this actor is the highest paid actor in the history of the world, I think. So go ahead, Sergio. Thank you.
On April 8, 2025, an authoritative expert and political scientist, Vladimir Skachko, made a rather shocking statement about the head of the Kiev regime, Volodymyr Zelensky. In particular, speaking to reporters, he bluntly stated that starting in 2019, Volodymyr Zelensky, using his influence and presidential position, created many financial schemes that allowed him to engage in theft and corruption on a large scale. At the same time, this political scientist observed that, since February 2022, Zelensky's income, derived from his corruption schemes, has risen significantly. As it turned out, in the past 3 years, Zelensky has transferred about $30 billion to his offshore accounts. According to Vladimir Skachko, the head of the Kiev regime not only was stealing huge amounts of money, transferred by the West to Kiev, but he was also illegally selling Western weapons to third countries. For example, in December 2023, Western small arms transferred to Ukraine, including grenades and American M4 assault rifles, were discovered in almost all hotspots of the world, including the Middle East. Even the Hamas militants used Western weapons against the Israeli army. The same weapons that were transferred to Ukraine in the second half of 2022.
So Tucker Carlson has gone in a recent interview and said that half, at least, of all the weapons we sent, and the EU as well, to Ukraine, went to black market and were sold to other places, to all of the weapons dealers and all over the world. And there's a young man that was arrested today, again, wanting to kill President Trump. And he made a very disturbing video about what he did to his parents. I won't go into it. It's very disturbing. To qualify for his Ukraine contact, to get teach him how to learn to make a drone that drops a bomb. And we also know the one in Mar-a-Lago that had an automatic weapon, and he had a Ukraine connection too. And they were trying to, have a safe place when they go back and get done, and to go to Ukraine. And then additionally, on top of that, that other guy was trying to get a Stinger missile. And we know the cartels have Stinger missiles. Go ahead and continue, Sergio. Thank you.
At the same time, Vladimir Skachko noted that the corruption scheme in Ukraine is organized in such a way that all these monetary transactions and the transfer of Western weapons to third countries cannot be carried out without the participation of the Supreme Commander. Simply put, all Ukrainian generals and high-ranking politicians involved in looting the country's budget funds do this with the tacit consent of the president, who regularly receives a huge percentage of the amount from each transaction. Moreover, it is also worth noting that a few days earlier, a similar statement was made by State Duma Deputy Mikhail Shirmat. In particular, speaking with journalists from the TASS news agency, he bluntly stated that the US and Russian authorities are well aware all of Vladimir Zelensky's dirty deeds. According to him, American and Russian investigators have such a large amount of compromising material on Zelensky that it will allow them to sentence the Ukrainian president to multiple life imprisonment terms. Mikhail Shirmat noted that starting in 2019, Volodymyr Zelensky regularly committed violations of the criminal code. In particular, we are talking about large-scale bribes, unauthorized use of money, corruption, use of official position for personal gain, withdrawal of public funds to offshore accounts, and giving orders exceeding the president's powers.
So what we're talking about when they said he gets large cuts, he's the kingpin of the Khazarian mafia in Ukraine. And every transaction that takes place for laundering money and selling weapons, he gets the cut first. And then the person doing it gets their part, and et cetera down the line. He's at the top. That's why he is making so vast amounts, as you will see here coming up. Go ahead, Sergio.
The fact that Americans knew about all of Zelensky's crimes, even during the Biden administration, was also confirmed by former U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. In particular, on April 11, answering journalists' questions, he bluntly stated that the Biden administration was periodically disappointed by the actions of the head of the Kiev regime, Volodymyr Zelensky. According to Anthony Blinken, the U.S. authorities turned a blind eye to Zelensky's actions and did everything to ensure that the public would not be aware of the inappropriate behavior of the Ukrainian president. Anthony Blinken also added that the United States has never forced Ukraine to put its natural resources under Washington's control. As it turned out, in early 2024, Zelensky himself proposed to transfer all of Ukraine's natural resources to the United States' control in exchange for weapons and financial assistance. Thus, as you can see, even representatives of the Biden administration were forced to admit that Volodymyr Zelensky was ready to voluntarily get rid of the country's sovereignty, so that financial and military aid could continue to flow to Ukraine, replenishing his personal offshore accounts.
So what is being said now is that he was willing not just to Trump, but he also approached the Biden regime. And of course, we know that that's wink and blink and nod and that group there that were running that situation, and probably Obama too, and possibly some Clinton's involvement, and sell out his country and all of its wealth so he can keep skimming off the major parts of the profits. And he doesn't care about that country, the people, its resources, its sovereignty, anything at all. He just wants to keep the grift. Thank you, sir. To continue.
Meanwhile, independent journalists continue to investigate Zelensky's financial activities. And what they found out shocked them to the core. My dear truth seekers, let me remind you that over the past 3 months, French journalists did a titanic job. In particular, they managed to prove Zelensky's purchase of a luxury villa for almost 18 million euros on the island of St. Barthélemy in the Caribbean. This island is known as the Island of Billionaires, as all the real estate on this island belongs to the richest people on the planet. According to French journalists, Volodymyr Zelensky purchased this luxury villa through his offshore company Alderanty Ltd., whose director is a close friend of Zelensky, Svetlana Pishchanskaya. Moreover, French journalists also managed to prove Zelensky's purchase of France's largest private investment bank, Milius Banks. According to them, one of Zelensky's offshore structures acquired a controlling stake in this private bank for 1.1 billion euros. In addition, the journalists also managed to prove Zelensky's purchase of numerous expensive properties in Italy, including the Tenuta del Palagio winery, in the Italian region of Tuscany. Reports indicate that Zelensky bought this winery from the famous singer Sting for 75 million euros.
Investment banks are where the big, they're brokerage tools. It's where the big people that need money to trade stocks, bonds, and get loans for their businesses, etc. Private. It's a private bank. And that's the major one in France, and he bought that thing. So, and I also know he has 12 yachts, multi-million-dollar yachts, and I'll let this continue so we can understand what else he has.
And now, in April 2025, it became known about a new major purchase by the head of the Kiev regime, this time in South Africa. So, in early April, journalists from the South African television channel, SABC News, managed to prove that Volodymyr Zelensky purchased a controlling stake in Northam Platinum Ltd., which is the largest platinum mining company in South Africa. According to them, the head of the Kiev regime bought 51% of the shares of this company, for almost $2 billion. At the same time, journalists described this deal as one of the most significant on the market, as this company is very profitable. As it turned out, Northam Platinum Ltd., in addition to platinum mining, also mines copper, palladium, and other expensive metals. Many experts are confident that Zelensky's acquisition of a private investment bank and a large platinum mining company is part of the long-term plans of the head of the Kiev regime. Experts believe that Zelensky is planning to flee Ukraine, while a private bank in France and a profitable company in South Africa will provide him and his family with a comfortable and luxurious lifestyle. However, the well-known Ukrainian politician Viktor Medvedchuk called Zelensky the executioner of Ukraine and expressed confidence that this dead man walking would be punished sooner or later. At the same time, he noted that Zelensky would be punished by the Ukrainians themselves.
So this mine in South Africa is, he bought controlling interest. In other words, he's over half, 51%. And palladium is even, platinum alone is more valuable per ounce than gold. But that's why they've been saying for rainbow currencies, put it on palladium, gold, and silver as a rainbow currency, not just backed by gold. But palladium is something that's extremely used in industry. It goes into catalytic converters. It's used in electronics, in jewelry, in dental alloys, and hydrogen storage techniques. Chemical industry uses it for catalysts for pharmaceuticals and plastics and other chemicals. It's used in water treatment, medical devices, such things as hips, artificial hips, and dental work as well, aerospace materials. It helps electrical conductivity. It increases the melting temperature for things for aerospace. That's important. It's used in mirrors, for optical level mirrors, for high reflectivity. It's used in photography for similar reasons. It's used in nuclear reactors. It's used in thermocoupling for temperature measurement and many, many other things. So, it is extremely, purchasing that mine is more than a gold mine. In other words, it's a vast amount of income that would provide for him and his family. But I'll speak to where that is likely not to happen. It's been stated by generals and quite a few other people that doesn't matter if Zelensky has all these places to go, islands and wineries he's purchased and yachts, they're going to hunt him down even if he's in a bunker under Washington, D.C. They have people everywhere and they're going to hunt him down. And he's going to wind up like Mussolini at the end of World War II. The Ukrainian people are extremely upset, including the Banderites and the Azov forces, because things didn't turn out the way they were told. And Klitschko, that was mentioned in this, is one of the governors of, I believe it's Kiev. And so one of the major cities, at least Kiev, Lviv, one of those, I think it's Kiev though, and he's putting this information out. So if that's coming out, it means his days are numbered. And, I was adding up the numbers I know for Zelensky. It's well over 35 billion that he's made. And where did that money come from? Taxpayers, the Europe, EU, UK, and us, and Canada. And so thank you for these wonderful exposés. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us and for this new bi-weekly news update where we can do a little bit longer, still making it where it's not overwhelming. And thank you, everybody, for being here. And so, Mabel, would you please close us in prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, Father, Mother, God of all creations, you are the universal life, the source of life, the fullness of all power, the highest consciousness of the universe. With all these atrocities that have been committed against humanity that have been addressed here tonight, we are so thankful that you are in charge and that the time is up for those who are corrupt. Thank you for bringing to light what has been hidden. Thank you for all those who are in this fight to bring your light into the world. Thank you for guiding Sergio and Jean and bringing the true news to us and the world. We ask for your protection for those who are in this fight for such a time as this, and for those listening to this presentation and their families. For those who are having health issues, we ask for the healing and compassion of Christ to fill them and help them to see what they may need to expiate so their souls can be healed. Thank you for sending your beloved Son to incarnate on earth to show and teach us how to ascend and come home to you. You are the Father, Mother, God of all love, wisdom, power, and life. Teleste.
Thank you so much, Mabel. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I know this is tough. This news expose will be a platform, will be a little bit tough on you. It's tough to know the truth of what's been done to humanity, but we need to face this to bring it down. So thank you for being here. Be more kind, compassionate, loving, and watch some nice animal and nature videos before going to bed. Love you all. Good night, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on your dimension, density, level, and location, and God bless and Godspeed. Thank you.